What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly anime review of Tales of Zestiria, the X. So this episode introduces a new character to our cast called Edna. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. Now, judging by her personality, I'm just going to instantly assume she's going to be a pretty funny character later on down the road. And if I was to say play the game, like if I had the actual game of, Tales, most likely I'd probably say she's one of my favorite characters, just because usually characters that are quiet like her, the way they acted when they were first introduced, they tend to be some very quirky characters down the road, or have some very funny moments with the main character. So I'm willing to bet that I'm really going to enjoy this character in different scenes besides this serious atmosphere that this episode is giving off. And also, if you were watching the preview for next week's episode, we get to see this little quirky personality about her, which hints at what type of personality she has behind this, very cold, stern face or look she had throughout the episode, and I liked it. I really liked this character that was introduced. So what does this episode bring to the table? So it introduces a new subplot or a plot of the actual series. We found out that apparently a long time ago, we don't know how many years it's been, but it's probably been a very good long while, Edna had a brother called Aizen. Now, do not mistake this Aizen for the Aizen from Bleach that always says according to plan. This is a completely separate character. So, this brother of Edna, which is called Aizen, eventually turned into a dragon. Now, this lets us know a little bit about how the world works when it comes to Tales of Zestiria. We found out that apparently, if for some reason certain spirits get this despair, these emotions that are negative towards them, there is a possibility that they could turn into a dragon. And I'm willing to bet the way this plot was kind of introduced in this episode, I'm willing to bet that we're probably going to see, maybe not soon, maybe not this season. If I'm correct, Tales of Zestiria is being split up into two different parts, and we're going to have a second season of the series. So I'm willing to bet it's not going to be in this season, but the time the series is, wrapping up, I'm willing to bet you right now that there is a possibility we might see one of our characters, our main cast of characters that have linked up with Zestiria, they might eventually turn into a dragon, or almost turn into a dragon. I can see Miklo actually probably almost turning into a dragon, maybe somewhere down the road, because of what we got introduced to in this episode of Tales of Zestiria. So, what is the plot that was introduced? So, right now, Zestiria is trying to find a way to save Edna's brother. For instance, to be able to purify him and turn him back into his natural form, besides being this dragon that's pretty much just the embodiment of chaos. And I like the direction where the plot is going. I mean, we already got one main plot. We know that one of the main plots is where Zestiria is trying to kind of remove all this disorder in the world. He's hunting down the dragons, and he's making it to where, everything can be at peace once again. But also, we have this new plot that's introduced to where you have it to where Aizen can actually be fixed and then eventually turn back into a real person. So, you have it to where most likely the goal might eventually change into where Zestiria might try to purify all the dragons. I could see something like that happening. For instance, he tries to do it with each individual dragon, and instead of killing the dragons, he'll try to purify every single one, and it might eventually turn into where he tries to purify the in-game boss of the series. I could see something like that happening. So, besides that, what else happened? Well, obviously the character introduction of Edna and all that, and the way we found out kind of how she's connected to her brother, and how for these many years, she's been trying to protect her brother from constantly trying to be killed by his best friend. And it was overall, it was like the standard introduction to characters, like two characters you would see in an episode. You have to where you have the best friend of someone that, eventually got turned corrupted, like, for instance, the guy with the gun in this episode. I can't pronounce his name, please forgive me. But the guy that was introduced, he was trying to kill Edna's brother. And you have it to where Edna's trying to stop this, don't kill my brother and all that, I don't want you to do this. And we get to see a little bit of backstory to where these two were very close, they cared for each other, not Edna, but the two people that, they had this brotherly bond. And when you saw this, you're like, okay, so this explains why he's trying to kill his, friend, this dragon, because it was his friend, he cared about him, his friend is no longer who he once was, he completely forgot about who he was, and so he's just attacking you, and even his own sister, and he's willing to kill her. So he's upset, and he's willing to put his friend down to save his friend. That's what he wants to do. And eventually, as the episode carries on, you have the point to where it seems like some form of remnant of Edna's brother, Aizen, is inside of him, and he's not just a crazy dragon like we saw throughout majority of this episode. He actually does have some form of a soul still inside of him, which is still good. So there is most likely a way, a possible way to save him, and save him from being a complete dragon. So I can't wait to see exactly where this is going to go. This episode is pretty good. I enjoyed the episode. It wasn't the best episode ever, but it was a good episode to introduce two characters. Hopefully the character that went off on his journey to search for maybe a way to fix his friend, hopefully he pops back up in the series and he becomes like a reoccurring character. So yeah, you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.